Well, hey, it really is a perfect time to be a Godzilla fan. Your beautiful movie lovers. My name is Louie, aka Movie Fandom, and today we are talking about Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the brand new thing from the Monsterverse. This is their first TV show that aired on Apple Plus. It's been airing weekly, and I have been watching them every week, and now, since it's finished, I'm gonna give you my thoughts. Now, with the Monsterverse in general, I do like it, but I do have issues. Probably the biggest issue that people have is with its characters, and for me anyways, I'm not the biggest fan of them just changing them and just throwing them out into the sewer. I mean, really, like, even though they're not the most memorable characters, I do like a few of them. Not saying I remember all of them, because I remember nothing of them, but still, they do have some interesting parts with them, and I do kind of like them with it. And also, it can be kind of muddled. I don't know, maybe I'll rewatch them, but now for this show, I didn't really think much of it. I was gonna continue it because I am a Godzilla fan, and I was kind of curious in it. I wasn't expecting anything out of it. I was semi-excited for it, but not really that much. And now with all of it being done, I gotta say, this is the best project in the entire Monsterverse thus far. While I don't think it's perfect, I do think this is a really good direction for the Monsterverse. And with how it ended, I am very excited to see on what they'll do next. First off, starting with the things I like. First off, I just want to get this out of the way. The casting for Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell playing the same person was genius, and I thought they were really great in here. And with the other actors in general, I also did think they did a really great job in here. Personally, Anna Sawai, who plays Kate, and who is probably the most interesting, well, not really the most interesting character, but I do think she is really good in here, and I thought her performance was really great, and her character was very well written. And also the two other leads we follow, that being Mei and Kentaro, I also really like them too. They were both likable and rootable, and they were interesting, and had a lot of depth to them. And while they're not perfect characters by any means, I did think they did great performances in general, and overall they were well written for the most part anyways. B. Shaw, who's played by Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell, is by far the most interesting character in here. He has a lot of depth and also mystery that kind of makes you think on should you root for him or not. And I really loved their performances, like I said, and I thought they were great in here, but in general his character was very well written. Also visually, this looks great, and while I do have some issues with the VFX in general, with some of it looking kind of cheap, and some of it looking pretty choppy, but I may give that a little bit of a pass because this is a TV show. But overall anyways, it really did feel like it was a movie, and it was very visually stunning, and from a lighting perspective as well, it looked visually gorgeous. All of them, the visuals, the CG, the lighting, a lot of it looked great. The cinematography is great, the action scenes are epic. For the little ones we do get, I did really think they were beautiful to look at and very well made. And also the final shot in here, which I'm not going to spoil, it does also look visually stunning and looked great, and I am very desperate to see more of it. Also a brief tiny kind of issue in here is with the ending itself. I'm not going to spoil it, but with it, I did think it was very cool, and it's gotten me excited for what's going to come next in this franchise. It does feel kind of incomplete, you know, kind of the way the first Dune did, but in general that movie did have a complete story for a chapter 1, but here it did kind of feel like it just ended like that. But for the most part anyways, I did really like the ending, and it has gotten me excited for more. Another issue I do have in here is the story, and while I do think it is very well written, at times it can feel a little all over the place, and at times with different episodes it feels like it's kind of a different plot. I'm not saying I found myself bored by any means. I was always interested in what's happening, and I wasn't really bored, but at times I was kind of uninterested, but for the most part anyways, it did hold my attention, and it very much did feel jumbled, and that was kind of a big issue with me in here. And also the pace wasn't really amazing, but for the most part anyways, also, I do think the pace was kind of well-paced, though admittedly at times it did feel like it dragged on. But for the most part anyways, it really did, the positives itself really outweighed the negatives, and I really liked this show for what it did. If it's with the characters, the development we get with this world, and acting, visuals, I really did like all of that in here. And while, like I've said, it's not perfect, I did thoroughly enjoy this. Also, the music is really great. I love the music in here, and that theme song and intro was incredible. I just loved it. Also, going back a little bit to the negatives, I forgot to say this, but it does go back to 2015, which is when it's set, and with the back in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken, 50s or 40s, I'm pretty sure it's 50s, it does cut back to them, and at times I was more interested in the early stuff, but I was always interested, like I said, in the 2015 stuff, but still, it did kind of feel a little muddled, like I've already said, and that's probably my biggest issue with the script in here, but for the most part anyways, I did think they were very greatly told, though I do wish they balanced them out a little more. But overall, for me anyways, I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is by far the best project in the MonsterVerse thus far, and I can't wait to see what they do next, and honestly, and I can't wait to see Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, coming in theaters March or April, I don't know anymore, but still, I overall thoroughly enjoyed this show. I would highly recommend it. It's on Apple TV+, and overall, I give Monarch Legacy of Monsters a B. So those are my thoughts on Monarch Legacy of Monsters. What did you think about this show? Did you love it, hate it? Let's agree, disagree down below in the comments. Come and tell me. I don't really know what I'm gonna review next. I was planning on reviewing Lift, but that movie sucked so much, and I barely have anything to say other than it was boring, and so I'm not gonna review it, but hey, don't watch it, really, please don't. But anyways, yeah, that's it from me right now. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and as always, stay awesome.